Hey, Mark here, and in today's video we're going to talk about NotebookLM from Google. This isn't a new product by any means, it's not something that's just come out right away. However, it has added some new features recently, and one of which is the one that's really gaining the interest and the traction, is the audio content. So you're able to create a podcast from a collection of content that you do bring together. Now stop. I know that doesn't sound interesting in its own right, but believe me, it's absolutely brilliant. And it is a great way to consume all sorts of different kinds of content that you can bring together, and not least because the podcast sounds so authentic, and it's the voices are fantastic. It's the best AI voices I've heard by. It's actually a bit of a struggle to hear that actually they really are AI content and AI hosts. But we're going to cover 5 main use cases. 4 of them are business and more on the serious side, and one's just for fun. And honestly, the one that's just for fun, it's absolutely hilarious. I've not laughed so much in ages, and it's something that you'll be able to do too, and it's something that you'll share with your friends. It's absolutely hilarious, as I say. So stick around for that at the end, and I'll show you how to do that. But we're going to cover some of the more serious use cases first of all. But before we do that, I'll go and create a new work notebook so that you can see what happens when you start from scratch and some of the things that you can do with it. So when you create a new notebook, it looks like this. You're able to then go and add different sources. So you can add all sorts of different sources. So you can add Google Docs, you can add Google Slides, you can add a link to a website and it'll scrape all the content. You can add a YouTube link and it will scrape the transcript out of there. You can insert any pasted text. So you can paste text from anywhere, paste it into this box here, and that becomes one of the sources. So there's other things that it mentions here. So it's like PDFs, text files, Markdown, audio. So you can upload audio files as well, MP3 files. So it's all sorts of things that you can upload into there. And it gives you some examples of use cases, but it's absolutely not limited to this. So it says, marketing plans, course reading, research notes, meeting transcripts, sales documents. That is just scratching the surface. Honestly, it's great. So that's the initial screen for when you upload all of the sources. So there's a maximum number of sources, it's shown down here, of 50 at the moment, which is probably more than enough for a lot of use cases. But I can imagine if you really wanted to use this, and some of the things that I'm going to talk about here, there may be a case where you wish there was more than 50, and maybe that's going to come in time. But right now there's 50. And I'll show you one of the use cases so we can see something real rather than sort of preloaded them, so that you don't have to just watch me add all the sources. So for example, this one is about AGI. So I'm calling this one research. So I've uploaded a load of sources that are about AGI. So these are the YouTube videos that are about AGI. And then there's like articles here as well that are about AGI. And basically what you can do then is create different things off the back of that. So these notes that I've got here are the suggestions that are provided to you here. So you just click this notebook guide. It says help me create FAQs, study guide, table of contents, etc, etc. So just some of the things that you can create. But if you go here, the formatting is actually awful at the moment, but you get like an idea. So it says glossary of key terms, it's got short quiz, it's got answer key, and essay questions there. So in the study guide, and then in the briefing doc, it summarizes all of the sources, and then it's got an FAQ there as well, so you can take questions out of there and answers them. So there's a whole bunch of things there. But you can also talk to the content as well. So you can ask the content questions. So if I go into the chat here. So what is AGI, and how do we know that AGI has been achieved? So it comes up with a whole bunch of stuff there, describing what AGI is, some references here. And it covers up that topic pretty well, given the sources that I've provided it. Also, what are the main blockers to AGI? So I spelled main wrong there, but it's come up with the right answer. So barriers on the road to AGI. So hardware limitations, computational power, scaling compute clusters, energy consumption, data diversity, so Western-centric bias, need for broader knowledge base, algorithmic and conceptual advancements. I won't go any further, but you can see that great. It's looked at these sources and come up with some great content. And I think the good thing about this as well is it's very niche specific. So you're uploading the sources, you're saying this is the stuff, and this could be your proprietary stuff and stuff that's not available on the web. And you're uploading and then asking questions about something that maybe ChatGPT can't answer, but actually with your own documents, it's something that you can answer. So as we come on to some of the other use cases, that become more apparent and why that's useful. But just for general pieces of research, this works really well. And I think this is the feature here, the audio feature. I was talking about the podcast. So I'm just going to play this real quick, and you can listen to how it sounds.
I'm ready.
So
AI is advancing at an unprecedented rate. We're talking about potential leaps in capability.
Leaps that could reshape entire industries, even challenge our understanding of what it means to be human.
Exactly. And one of the key concepts is the scaling hypothesis.
Right, the scaling hypothesis.
Can you unpack this for us? What does it mean and why should we care?
Essentially, it suggests that as we build larger AI models and train them on more data, their capabilities increase significantly.
So I'm not going to go any further on that, but you can see like it's a really interesting way to actually consume a whole bunch of content that you've created. It really makes podcasts engaging. They're funny, they're sarcastic, depending on like the sources that you're feeding it. Actually, it does a great job at like passing over like the meaning of those documents and like how you'd want them to be presented. Now, you can be very specific. Now, if I go into the audio overview for a new project, and I'll just add a source in. So let me go to YouTube. So now if you go into this, well, it automatically pops open this notebook guide. It gives you a summary of what's in there. If you click into here, you can also see the full transcript. So it'll give you the full transcript. It gives you a summary of just that source, so rather than the whole note. Also some of the key topics that are covered within that piece of that source, essentially. So what you can then do is you can generate this podcast from all of the sources, but what you can do is you can customize that as well. So if you want to be more specific about how you want that podcast to be presented, then you can type it in here. Now, I'll give you an example of something that I didn't quite want. So I used one of my own videos, and it describes Mark Mars showed us this and then did this and did that. Maybe that's not what I wanted. Maybe I didn't want a sort of commentary of the way that I presented the information and use of my name and those kind of things. Maybe I just wanted the actual meat of the content to be described in the podcast. And so you can actually be more specific here. Generally, I've got to be honest, I've just clicked generate and it works it out, and most of the time it's fine. There are certain scenarios, I think, where you'll get used to the idea that it won't quite do it the way you want it, so you'll want to change that a little bit. I'll show you some other use cases now as well. So the second one is business meeting summaries. So I've got business meeting interrogator here. So I've got a fictional Zoom meeting here between Alex and Jordan, for which I've created a podcast. Now this is way better than I imagined. So I haven't listened to this podcast yet, but I've done it for a real business meeting, and it was fascinating. It was a great way to listen back to the meeting and just recall all of the main points that were covered, and it was a great way to consume it rather than trying to read a transcript or get ChatGPT to summarize it. Actually, just to listen to it and hear the things that it picked up along the way, and actually even adds in some stuff in there. You go, oh yeah, because it elaborates on some of the stuff. So if you're referring to some industry terms or an idea or a technology, it'll elaborate on those a little bit and export some more ideas. It's actually really, really good. But let me play this one real quick and see how this sounds.
All right, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a close look at what it takes to scale up an AI-powered goal-setting platform.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about those platforms for individual users. Right. This is about going way bigger, think entire teams, whole businesses even.
The big leagues.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, we've got access to this conversation between the company's CEO and their CMO.
Behind the scenes.
So we're going to listen in and see what insights we can pick up, what are the challenges they're facing, what strategies are they cooking up.
The good stuff.
All that good stuff. And I think one of the first things that jumps out
is to collaborate and manage all their projects.
So the key is to figure out what teams need and then adapt.
So there you go. That's what it is. And there was a little glitch there in her voice. I don't know if you heard that on the video, but it's not perfect. There are some little glitches in their voice, and sometimes a sentence is cropped off really quickly at the end. But generally, 99% of it is there, and it's really good. And now you can go ahead and ask questions as well of the meeting. So you can say things like, what were the suggestions for scaling the SaaS business? So we've got all of the different suggestions here. So shift marketing to focus on businesses, revisit pricing, offer a free trial, seek more funding. There's a whole bunch of stuff there that was discussed in the meeting that you can then go and interrogate afterwards. And then I've also asked, what were the actions that came out of the meeting? Can you split them between Jordan's actions and Alex's actions. So it gives us Jordan's actions, Alex's actions, and then shared actions there at the bottom. I mean, obviously this is good. This is something you could do in ChatGPT, but the fact that you can just add multiple sources here and have this as an ongoing living document that you can continue to interrogate is great. And if you like something that was produced here, you can make that like part of the document, like or one of the sources, should I say. So you can do save this as a note for a start. So I'm saving this as a specific note. I like what it had to say. So this was suggestions for scaling, right? So you can go ahead and change this here. So suggestions for scaling. But if you want then that to become a source, you can do that as well. So you can convert selected notes to a source, and that becomes one of the main things that gets interrogated and talked about when you're asking questions or when you create that podcast version or any other document. So it becomes like one of the main sources for information. On to the next. I've got client notebook. So I've not actually created a notebook for this. I've written it here. But imagine a scenario where you record every conversation that you have with your customer. So it makes me having this makes me want to record every single Zoom meeting I have, because I can just ask questions about what was that product that the customer mentioned, or that competitor's name. I've forgotten the competitor's name. I didn't write it down. You can ask those kind of things to it. And so imagine having these client notebooks where you constantly add to it any key emails that you sent to them, any documents, any deliverables that you delivered. You can keep adding them in, and it becomes like you can ask questions of all of those interactions with that client and be able to just pull out information really quickly. If you wanted to prepare for the next meeting, for example, you can say, what was the last things that we discussed? What were the outcomes of those things? What were some of the outstanding actions? You can ask all those questions, and that very, very quickly you are able to pick up that information. You can also imagine I'm imagining this at a company level rather than a person level. So, I mean, the frustrating thing is it's not that easy. It doesn't integrate with anything at the moment. You've got to put these documents in yourself. But I'd imagine a scenario where every single support call is recorded, or every single call one of your customer representatives has with a customer. Imagine having that, and then you can interrogate it and say, well, what's the most common complaints from customers that we receive? You can get those and then start taking action on those. Or what are the most commonly requested features, for example? So there's a whole bunch of ways that you can then start to use that. But honestly, the audio format is just genius. Because who really wants to trawl through that stuff? And when you think of those questions, sure, you can ask questions once I think you hear the audio, maybe will trigger you some questions, and you can then go and ask your repository. But it's just huge, I think, just having that customer specific, and then within the company wide, insight and intelligence you can get from all of your interactions that you have with your customer. The next one is market research. So maybe you want to bring in, I mean, I think even just for if you've got all of the interactions for all of your customers across all of your company, then that market research piece becomes what's the most sought after feature that our customer wants, but also what do they think about the pricing, and also then you can sort of drag in and talk about competitors. So maybe you have a competitor document, which is maybe all of your competitors at once, or maybe individual notebooks for each competitor. But then you can ask, well, what's the pricing structure across these different competitors, and really start to think about different kinds of ways of looking at competitor research. What features do they have? Maybe you're bringing in some of their social feeds. What are they talking about? What trends are they trying to jump on? Are they giving any insight into new features that they're going to be launching soon? So market research is great. I mean, that's competitor research, but just also bringing in stuff from maybe a Reddit forum, things that people are asking for. You've got to pick and choose where you go, but this is a great way of finding out what people want from different things. And if you can just copy and paste all of that in, and then start asking questions getting some research answers. Often you do surveys for these things. You pay for surveys, so a certain group of people will get surveyed and you get the results. This eliminates the need for that, really. You can just pull in a load of data from places that you can get it, and then ask the survey questions to the data. So the more you think about it, the more options there are available to how you use this. Before we go to the end of the video, I'm going to show you the last one that's really funny. And I'm not going to actually show you it like in any full detail because I'll let you do it for yourself because this is a personal one. But myself and some friends, you probably have this, like we have a WhatsApp group. So this one's for fantasy football. We talk about fantasy football, but it often goes off onto other tangents, and we just talk in the group amongst different things. So I downloaded the last week's chat from WhatsApp desktop and then just got it to record a podcast about that. And honestly, I mean, it would be different for everybody else, but to listen to this, and it won't be quite the same as you listening to your own, but it really is, it captures the different characters and how funny the interactions are, like really, really well. And honestly, it's absolutely hilarious. And I recommend like going ahead and doing this in one of your groups, especially if you have a lot of messages. And I'll tell you what, this thing has like, sometimes has like hundreds and hundreds of messages that I've left not managed to read, not least because some of the people in the group are based in the US, and so there's a conversation like overnight and it just goes on, and there's loads of stuff picked up in this audio. I listened to this audio version, which is hilarious, and picked up a bunch of stuff that I didn't know was mentioned because there's so many messages, I just skip over them like real quick, and I didn't realize that some of the things had happened. So it has actually got this wrong here as well. I noticed this is like a bit of a bug in Notebook. So it's got this summary from the last meeting, so the business meeting we were talking about just a moment ago, Alex and Jordan. That I think I may have pasted in the wrong text in a source, but I'm not sure that I did, but I think I might have done. So it's picked that up as the first thing you pasted in, and then it's left it there. And I don't know how to edit that. Obviously this product's still not, you know, fully baked, but if I click in here, I can actually see the proper excerpt now. So it's a chat log. But yeah, honestly, the audio feature is just brilliant. I'll just play you a little bit here. I suspect it won't be as funny as myself listening to it or my friends listening to it, but honestly, do this for yourself, and I think you'll have a blast. Let me just play you a little bit, just to give you an idea.
Should have fallen under this double jeopardy rule.
But then right in the middle of this, you know, this intense soccer debate, you've got Antoni Hunnes just dropping these completely random comments.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's like he's not even paying attention to the soccer at all.
Well, and that's the beauty of it, right? Like, that's how real conversations work. You know, you're talking about something serious, and then
someone just goes off on a tangent.
Totally. And it's not always, you know, super focused, and that's what makes this so authentic.
Yeah. And speaking of tangents, Antoni starts messing around with Meta's AI image generator, and things get...
Oh, it gets weird.
It gets really, really strange.
It really does.
So it starts off, you know, kind of innocently enough. He's like, give me an image of me on a Manchester City parade bus looking heartbroken because they lost.
Right. Right.
Okay. Kind of funny.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But then the prompts just escalate so quickly.
I mean, we see him clutching his, well, let's just say his sensitive areas.
Yeah.
In like all sorts of situations.
At the dentist's office.
The dentist.
In a library. At a children's play place.
I mean, you name it, he's there.
And
so, I mean, I guess you get the idea, but it's that is, you know, very, very much my friend. It's captured him to a T there, and that's what makes it funny. And there is sarcasm in that, and in that podcast, and it's really, really good. I recommend it just for a piece of fun at the end, but that's just something that you can go away and have some fun with as well. But genuine use cases, genuinely powerful tool. I mean, I'm going to use this for a lot of things now, I think, and I hope that's a decent summary for you for Notebook. It's a really powerful tool. I recommend you give it a try. It's notebooklm.google.com. It's free at the moment. Give it a go and drop some feedback in the comments, how your WhatsApp chats went with your friends, but also any questions you have about NotebookLM. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.